Greetings. This is part 2, Plantation Mentality. Now this video right here, I got on YouTube. You gotta know what to look for. You gotta ask the question, critical questions. See, we haven't been taught how to ask questions. We just been taught how to give lip service to. We get a little bit of information and we don't research. Now, it was a book that I had when I was, like I said, when I was young. I was about 19 or something like that. You know, back in the 60s, cats they were thuggish minded, but they were also intellectuals. You know, we read. See, nowadays y'all don't read. Y'all got these devices, and y'all don't know what to read. But the older cats would school the younger cats. You know, I used to hang around older guys. They used to school us, you know, on what to read. And I had a book about sex crimes and how the bucks would break in slave women. But see, for real, we were prisoners of war. And we have been aggressed upon. And we get attacked every day. And the reason why I'm saying this because in the Quran, if you're a Muslim, or put it like this, if you study the Quran and different scriptures for wisdom, it tells you don't be the aggressor. So y'all be like Muhammad. He told us, was telling the government, the U.S. government, that we won't mess with you unless you mess with us. You know, we'll defend ourselves. And at that time, they had slowed down on some of the attacks because of the Nation of Islam. But now, you know, they see that we got weak leadership, so they're attacking. So they didn't infiltrated all our top organizations. You know, Nation of Islam, any black movement. You don't have to be a black movement, but if you're black, they're gonna attack and they're gonna infiltrate. Anytime they send in agents, that's a form of aggression. You know, anytime they pass a bill or whatever, man, you know, how they doing now with the police, stopping brothers, stopping and detaining brothers and sisters on the streets. That's a form of aggression because, you know, we didn't voluntarily come here. You know, we ain't voluntarily come here. You came in and, you know, attacked us and put us in, you know, a presence of war that made us generations of slaves, which was never done before in the history of the planet. Have you had generations of slaves with 300 or 400 years under, you know, changing their culture, changing their whole, damn near changing their nature, except for a few. So check this out.
Slavery is a deplorable notion. One person owning another is just not acceptable in today's world. But history bears out the ugly truth of rich, white plantation owners In Southern America, owning black Americans and treating them with harsh physical punishments if they went against the owner's wishes. However, those television documentaries and references in history books seldom explore the very personal horrors faced by those who were enslaved some 2 centuries ago. Here are some instances where slaves were forced into extreme sexual behaviors and reproducing children to replenish the number of slaves solely for the benefit of their masters. Number 1. Slave women were subjected to many sexual improprieties. Among them were violations by their masters and their sons, forced matings, and arranged marriages. Number 2. Historian E. Franklin Frazier said stockmen were weighed and tested before being put into a room with young women to mate for the purpose of bearing children. Number 3. By the end of the 18th century, the breeding of slaves was a common practice. Laws were changed so the public could view slaves as things instead of people, so the owner could do with them as he wished. Slave owners even began believing that slavery was grounded in the Bible. Number 4. American slaves in 1860 were worth $4 billion, which was far more than the $228 million worth of gold and silver circulating back then. Even the value of southern farmland, $1.92 billion, did not amount to the worth of the slaves. So for the owners, their slaves were worth everything to them. Number 5. The mortality rate among slaves was very high, so their owners would often encourage or force them to have children. Even at the age of 13, females were expected to begin having children to replenish the slave stock. They were expected to have 4 or 5 children by the age of 20. They were often encouraged by their owners to do this with the promise of freedom. Number 6. Female slaves who did not cooperate with their owners to bear children for them would be subjected to many and various punishments, both mental and physical. Number 7. In some instances, the females who bore children for their owners were given gifts, including extra clothing, the withdrawal of any harsh treatment, and sometimes, if their quota was met, freedom. Number 8. Women who did not or could not bear children would not be given any breaks or rewards that were given to mothers, and they would do the same work on the level of men. Number 9. If a woman was deemed infertile, she would sometimes be separated from her family, and owners would sometimes split up married couples and require them to choose new partners. Number 10. Male slaves at the age of 15 were inspected to see if they could breed well. If it was deemed that they could not, their testicles would be castrated. Over the course of 5 years, each young male was expected to get at least 12 female slaves pregnant. According to the slave narratives, a male slave named Bert was said to have fathered over 200 children.
We're going to continue this on a later date. Just a few facts to prove my point. Now you see that how much money they owe us according to this this video. I believe it. And you see that the kind of mental torture that we went through it's a miracle that we in our, that we ain't totally insane. But somehow that we should be, just crazy. But we ain't crazy as the guy who we let be in charge of the planet, the Caucasoid. We don't create diseases that will wipe out a whole population. We don't create bombs that will kill whole populations or even blow up the earth. We don't create, we don't give sanctions that will kill, uh, you know. So we must be the God. We must be the God source, the original. Mother Nature is friendly to us, but unkind to the Caucasoid. So he's jealous. So he said, we're gonna get on their good nature, get their good nature, and make them like us. That's what he's saying. He said he knows his time is up, so he said, I just need a little more time to find a way to stay before Mother Nature eliminates me, drops me like a bad habit. It's black light. Sugar and sugar, salt is salt. If you ain't digging on this, it ain't my fault.